Mark Smith. I'm the motivational speaker and author of the nationally acclaimed podcast, The Process, and this roundtable we're going to host tonight. In series 3 of The Process, specifically the one that was entitled, Why Not Me?, I created a message on purpose, and that was written to help us understand a couple things. One of them being our gifts, and that will be the subject of 2 amazing sessions that I will speak on in November, but we'll talk about that later. But this also falls in line with looking in your mirror every day to dissect and answer the questions, what do you truly want out of life? Tough question, but one that needs to be answered. But a strong point of contention that I often said so many times, and that is every single day in life, that we are so blessed to be able to choose what we allow and what we allow us to affect us. The word choose. That's going to be our acronym for tonight. And I promise you, it will have you reevaluating what it means to you and to your family. Without any further ado, let's get this show started. Thank you again for joining me today. If you haven't had an opportunity to listen to any of my prior messages and or the podcast with every acronym that I wrote, please take a moment. You can revisit those on Spotify, Anchor, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcasts. Thank you again for joining me tonight. We have one rule and one rule only, and that's we want your participation. So please, if you're watching out there, which you are, please weigh in. We definitely want your feedback. We definitely want your comments because, again, that's what fuels a roundtable. To get us started, whether you're viewing on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, please send me your thoughts on what the word choose means to you. There should be an icon right there from the device you're watching it from. Please make sure that you include that information. All right, let me introduce my friends for tonight. The first young lady is joining me from stormy New Jersey tonight. She's working around the clock on building a career and choosing to enjoy life at its fullest, but not without tough choices and tough decisions that have to be made. I want you to do me a favor and let's welcome Lyreshia Bond. Ms. Bonds, good evening. How are you? We can't hear you. Unmute yourself.
Hi. How you doing?
Well, I'm good. Thanks for joining us tonight. Tell our listeners and viewers out there a little bit about who Lyreshia Bonds truly is.
I am born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. I grew up a statistic, so I always wanted to make the decisions to do the right thing. So I graduated from college at 24. Took me 6 years. Got my degree in criminal justice, and I wanted to help people. And I worked in residential treatment with juveniles with behavioral health issues. And then I got my dream job in 2012 as a probation officer. And I thought that was what I was supposed to do. Little did I know it was a nightmare. But I've been fighting to turn everything around and tell my story like I choose to, regardless of what happened to me. So now I'm starting my business as a motivational speaker to try to advocate and help people understand their power, the choices that they make by the decisions that they make, and by holding themselves accountable, regardless of what happens to them.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for getting us started. Trust and believe. You're going to hear that word accountable come back multiple times tonight because, again, that's one of the areas that I truly focus on as well. My next young lady, well, I've known this young lady, now grown woman, all grown up, How about since she was born? She's a wife, she's a mother, she's a cousin, and we've got that strong Columbus tie, but we have that family tie right now. She lives in Arkansas doing some amazing things because she chooses to make things go the way they should be. Welcome, Miss Asti Ogletree. Hello, Miss Asti. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, everybody. Hey, Lyreshia. What's up, Mark?
Hey, how you doing? Why don't you get us started and tell us a little bit about who you are?
Ooh, okay. So, my name is Asti Ogletree, and I am a college undergrad graduate. I also have two master's degrees, one in management and the other in library and information science. Here in Arkansas, I am I'm a operations manager of a small rural library, and I've got two kids and a husband who was my high school sweetheart because he's older than I am, but and a little Boston Terrier that is my baby. So I'm out here in Arkansas, just to look an Ohio girl in an Arkansas world.
I like that. I like that. I like that. Well, again, both of you, welcome very much. Well, I'm truly, truly happy to have you with me tonight. I'm going to get us started by actually asking a question. This is the process roundtable. So again, and if anybody's listening, you haven't made that post yet. We want to know, what does the word choose mean to you? So everybody's popping in right now. Let's answer that question to get us started as well. But this is the process roundtable, and by the process roundtable, we're going to interact. If anybody hasn't watched this before, we're going to interact back and forth, but we're going to break down something that I'm going to talk about in a second. But first and foremost, the process is something that I've written, something that I write about, something that I go on stage and talk about in various different ways. But I want to know from each one of you, what can you define what the process means to you and in your life? I'm going to start with you, Asti.
I knew you were going to start with me. Okay, so the process with me is continual. And what I've learned is that my process is a matter of being authentic. I feel like I have transitioned. I used to crack jokes about women of a certain age, and now I'm at that point that I look back on some things and I'm like, wow, I should have handled that differently. Or now I'm coming into my own where I can stand up and maybe mentor someone that's younger than me that is going through some of the things, or I can key in on those things now that I probably didn't key in on when I was younger. So my process of authenticity has been a struggle. Coming from an area, Ohio was very liberal and very fun loving. At least it was for me. And now I live in the South, and it's very different. It is very different. They say, it's the Mid-South or whatever, but it's still the South, and it's very different. And I'm raising children here. And with the climate of everything that's going on here in America and in the world, it's different. Raising children now is different. So my process has just been, be authentic. Let your kids see you, struggle. Let your kids see you not having everything all together, because that's how they're going to grow. That's how their process is going to begin, because they're going to realize that, hey, life isn't easy. Life has some struggles, and, my mom is poised in it. My father is commanding a presence, and that's what we're trying to show our kids. So that's what the process means to me right now.
Mm-hmm. You want to
What about
pass?
you, Larissa?
Okay. The process to me means really rolling with the punches.
Ooh, that's good.
Because I didn't really think about this life as, I thought it was, honestly, it is what you make of it. And that's 50% of it. Because you make the decisions to do whether you're going to go to school, what you're going to major in, when you get married, you make certain decisions you make. But the process also, it's life comes at you with every decision that you make. When it comes, you have to roll with the punches. and understand the process. And what that is not, as you know, as a woman, again, a mother with 2 kids, not saying not understanding that everything is not saying not your fault, but you just have to accept, also acceptance. Accept what comes. Because growing up as a little girl, you're going to get this white picket fence, you're going to get married, you're going to ride off in a horse and carriage, and then life comes at you, and no, the horse and carriage doesn't come. It might be a broke down hoopty, and you just have to roll with the punches. So just being acceptance of everything that comes with it, and I'm not saying I'm grieving, but the image I had of myself and what I was going to do, I was supposed to be running for governor in a couple of years. I was, that's what, again, my plan by doing the certain things that I did. Life threw some punches at me. Now I'm suing the state. So, I mean, you roll with whatever comes to you. You make the choices and you accept the responsibility that comes with those choices and roll with it, whatever life throws at you. And don't have the pity party with why did this happen to me? Because I was in that pity party for a long period of time with what was happening to me. And then I started looking at it like, wait a minute, this happened to me for a reason, because it wouldn't have been nobody else. Maybe somebody else wouldn't have been strong enough to fight this fight like I'm fighting it, because I'm not the only one it happened to. At my job, it was a bunch of women, men and women, Black, who this happened to. But I was the one who said, not today, Satan, and stood up for myself. So rolling with the punches is very, very important with the choices, because sometimes you'll make a choice, but remember, every action has a counter reaction. So it doesn't necessarily, you don't know what's going to happen with what you're doing. You just know that when it comes, you have to deal with it. So me being a little girl, being the first one to go to college and get a degree, like, this is what I want to do with this degree. The universe had other things in mind for me. And I'm rolling with those punches and accepting it and understanding it's not my fault, and not pitying or being sad that I'm not in the situation I thought I was going to be in. This is the situation God wanted me to be in. Roll with the punches.
Mm-hmm. Thank you both for getting us started. I'm going to close this question because I'm going to say this. I've said, and I believe that many people can see, but not many people have vision. What does that look like? That looks like seeing a goal, but not having the vision to understand inside that goal, there's going to be obstacles, which we're going to talk about that word as well. But also in seeing a plan, not knowing that you really haven't thought that plan through, the A, the B, the C, the D, the E, the F, the G, all those through. So the vision portion comes in not when you are at the finish line, but the vision was understanding and picking yourself up from everything that you went through to get to where you truly want to go. Thus, many people can see, but not many people have vision. So the process is really about taking where you are, accepting, and use that word, accepting where you are, but more importantly, harnessing the moment, because everything is a teachable moment. Everything. I don't care what it is. I don't care how you view it. It's a teachable moment. And it's up to us to how we're going to react to that teachable moment. What are we going to do with that teachable moment? Are we going to share that teachable moment to somebody else and help them through their process as they continue to, everybody knows me, doesn't say go forward. I say grow forward. So that's going to be a key catalyst in what we need to do. So thank you for getting us started. I'm going to tackle our anybody that knows me, as I was saying before, knows I deal a lot in acronyms. And I deal a lot in acronyms because I was told that you probably shouldn't deliver your messages in that way. So because they said I shouldn't, I did, just because. But I always believe that we as human beings, our attention span is small. So we're going to catch something, we're either going to remove it from our mindset, we're going to delete it, or we're going to move forward. So to give somebody an acronym, that's something they can always recall, especially when they need to be uplifted, especially when they need that moment of inspiration versus sitting and reading a whole page or something like that. So the word choose has taken on a different meaning today for the purpose of our roundtable. It stands for challenges, help obstacles, become opportunities someone once embraced. So we're going to discuss this acronym. And I'm asking you that you're out there, think about each one of these words and post inside the room which one means the most to you. Is it challenges? Is it help? Is it obstacles? Is it opportunities? Is it someone or embrace? Myself and the panel, we're going to break this down. We're going to describe 3 words in this acronym and how they have been instrumental in our growth process. We're going to do one word at a time. So we're going to start with you first, Ms. Lyreshia. Of those key words, give me one, and what does that mean to you?
Challenges. I'm going to start off with challenges. I'm going to start off with challenges because honestly, that's basically what life is. With everything that's given to you, you don't choose who your parents are. You don't choose their social economic status. You don't choose their education level, but you are a product of those things. So being born isn't a challenge of itself. Then you don't choose your environment you grow up in. You don't choose the school. Everything in life is a challenge. And everybody has to go through challenge. When I had to go through a lot when I was younger, and I was always complaining, like, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? That was my theme song. Why is it happening to me? Because I just was like, why me? And it took me a long time to realize it's life. It happens to everybody. But it's what you do with those challenges. It can either make you or it can break you. But what you have to understand is the pity party of why me? Why me? Everyone challenges. It's not like, you know what, I'm going to have you born and you're not going to go through nothing, but everybody else going to go through something. And it's just, no, it's called life. So challenges, they come. And when they do come, and a lot of times I didn't understand, like my mom is like the best person. And she prepared me for everything I'm going through, all the challenges. And I never really thought about it. She was a correction officer. And I got a criminal justice degree partially because of her. And went into this field to help people. And the fight that I had is the same fight that she had as a correction officer in the state of New Jersey, fighting white supremacy, institutional racism. And because she fought it, and she only had a high school diploma, and every challenge that came at her, she was literally the lawyer at her job where people would come to her with departmental charges, and she will always win against the union lawyers and things like that, challenges. So when I was put in my situation, when I was retaliated against for reporting illegal discrimination activities at my job, the New Jersey courts, I knew what to do because she did it. I had everything together. I found my lawsuit by myself. So when life comes with the challenges, understand it's life, how you deal with those challenges, and understanding that your past has helped you to get to your future, sometimes without you even knowing it, because I didn't even know. I had a lot of aha moments about me being in my situation and realizing that she would literally, people was coming to her for charges and she was fighting and she was winning cases and she has a high school diploma. So here I am, going further. I have the degree. I'm in grad school now working on my master's, and I literally filed my lawsuit in federal court with no attorney, and their motion to dismiss, they lost. I won against the DAG of the state of New Jersey by myself. North New Jersey, little girl. The challenge of that, my mother prepared me for that. 20 years in the making. Now, Asti, which acronym would you choose?
Ooh, that's kind of hard to follow up, Lyreshia. Well, I'm gonna say help. My first word that I chose was help, and that's because I came from a single parent household, and my mom made the decision to leave Ohio when after I graduated high school, and moved back to her home state of North Carolina, so that she could give my sister a better chance at having a life of her own independently, because she's visually impaired. And so I had to learn how to do a lot of things by myself. how to basically be an adult by myself. And I realized that everyone needs help. Everyone needs help. Some are just proud and act like they don't need it. But everyone needs help. And now as an adult, I can say that I have reached out and helped some people that otherwise would not have known that they needed it. I'm a librarian, so I give information assistance every day, and we help people in our community and don't even realize the impact that we have until your doors are closed. So, and COVID-19 made it where our doors were closed for quite some time. We were closed for 3 months. So now looking back on it, help is of the acronym. Help is a word that has somehow became a part of my existence. And that's cool. I'm good with that because that's what we should be doing. I'm a Christian, so I should be out here helping others and letting people see that there's light out here in this darkness. So mine would be help. What about you, Mark?
All of them.
Cheater.
Right.
I'm going to start off with challenges as well. And I'm going to say that because many that have heard me speak before have heard me say it's okay to be scared, but it's not okay to have fear. And I've written an acronym for fear that we could talk about later. So what do I mean? Every day we have what I term as the 86,400 second cycle. That's the total number of seconds in every day that each one of us get when we wake up. Thank God. And when we have the decision to embrace a couple things, one, where we are in control of or challenged, the thoughts that we think are challenged, the images we visualize are challenged, and the actions that we take are always challenged. So hitting the ground and starting our day, challenges begin from the very beginning. While some, including myself, are happy with them, there are really something that gears a lot of people and really are designed to remove stagnation. It's a pushing point. It's a point to say, wait a minute. It's time for me to go from A to B, B to C, C to D. So being challenged in life is inevitable, but being defeated is optional. So when I think about that, I go back and revisit so many things that I've gone through personally, so many things that I've watched individuals go through, so many times that I've counseled individuals who were going through it. And I always close with that it is a challenge. Take that challenge. Use that challenge to your advantage. And always remember, defeat at the very end is optional. You don't have to be defeated. It's totally your call. So if you think about what you need to do, you visualize, you think about your thoughts, control your thoughts, and you also are in control of your actions, challenges are minimized to the smallest level all the time. So thank you for getting us started. Let's talk about the next one. I'm going to start with you first, Asti. What about you? Of the word choose, what would be the next one that comes to your mind?
I hate to skip obstacles, but opportunity would be my next one. Opportunity because when we moved to Arkansas, I was a stay-at-home mom for about a year. And I remember feeling defeated because I had my life all planned out, like Lyreshia was saying earlier. I was going to go to school. I was going to be a journalist, which I did. But then we moved to North Carolina for a little while, and I became a CNA because there weren't really a lot of journalism jobs around. Matter of fact, the newspaper that I worked for when I was in North Carolina was closed. Their doors were shut down because they didn't have enough circulation. So then I became a CNA and med tech and loved it. Didn't think I would at first, but I loved it. And then when my husband found a new position and that moved us to Arkansas, I was alone and felt defeated. But what does Jacqueline Carr say? You can't say you're a winner, but look defeated. And that is literally how I was looking out here. Like I was smiling in everybody's face, but secretly in my closet, like, I done paid money to go to school. I'm working on my master's right now. There is no reason why I'm out here without a job. And then after I got my master's, and I took a part-time job here and there, being an editor of a paper here, and it was okay, but it wasn't fulfilling. So I had an interview at my current job, but it was for a youth services coordinator. And basically, it's a children's librarian, children or teen librarian. And I came for the interview, had a great interview. And when I left the building, I said a prayer. Told the Lord, I said, Lord, if it's for me, let me have it, because I need this job. And he said to me, then it's yours. And it's just that little silent voice in your head, like, that's trying to make you doubt what is yours. And when I got that call before I even made it to my house, and I live 5 minutes from the job. That was like, I need you to meet our director. We want you to come back in. I came in, and I've been here ever since. And I've had doors open for people around me, just because I'm in the position that I'm in. And it's great knowing that I was confident and the opportunity was there. I just had to take it. I had to walk through that door. I had to be confident in who I was and knew that God put me here in Arkansas for a reason. It wasn't just he brought Sean, who is my husband. It was he brought our family here for a reason. And I'm going to affect change in whatever small way I can. So the opportunities that have been, the doors that have opened for me since I've been here and just over the span of my life have really been because, look, somebody say you got a praying grandmother. Well, I got praying grandma and aunts and mama. So I'm thankful for the opportunities that I've had and can't wait for the rest that are the blessings that are out here for me after that. What about you?
Well, that's a tough one. I would just say, number one, victories come small at a time. So everything that you've gone through, everything that you've done is about what I always say that my motto is legacy changing and beyond. The struggles that you've gone through, the teachings of the children, the embracing their knowledge, the consistent understanding where you need to go and where you want to go. These are all small steps, small nuggets of legacy changing each step of the way. So I'm proud of you. For me, let me say what I would say. I'm gonna go with obstacles. That would probably be one of the ones I would say. Obstacles are opportunities in disguise. They're manifestations on the horizons. They're happiness on my porch and their peace within my soul. So I embrace an obstacle. These are what comes to mind when I hear that word in daily conversations from wherever I go. I often think of how challenging it was to begin this and start a business of speaking and all that entails. The no's, or I call them not right now. Material being questioned and not understood. Even why the world would, I talked about it earlier. Or why would you use acronyms to garner your attention? I recall listening to a speaker a while back at a conference, and his topic was on boulders in his life. And after he got done, I asked him, was it a boulder or was it really an obstacle? Well, needless to say, he felt challenged, he felt threatened, and he didn't like that question because, I tried to explain, you and I, we have a 100% track record. 100%. If you're listening today, if you're sitting in front of and watching this, you have a 100% track record of getting past the no's or the not right nows and having an opportunity to persevere and go to the next level. See, there's nothing that hasn't been placed in front of us, no obstacle that we can't get past if we truly believe that we can. So I really want to encourage everybody that when somebody or when you hear the word obstacles, hear me when I say an obstacle is nothing but a way for you to reach your goal. I've learned in my days that the greater the obstacle, the more glory in overcoming it. So that's just me. What about you, Lyreshia? How do you feel about it? And what do you think is your next acronym?
I'm going to have to go with obstacles as well. And I'm going to look at that because to me, it's easy because they make you strong. Now, the situation I'm in, for those of you who don't know, I was a probation officer who, as soon as I got my job, I noticed discrimination. I noticed that Black people were treated different, like second-class citizens with everybody else. And being the person that I am, I tried to hold them accountable for the treatment of Black people. And as a result, I was targeted. They wrote me up. Every time I reported discrimination of Black employees, I was written up on departmental charges because that's what happened. You know, the police write people up on false charges. You hear all the time about the police. They didn't do it, but they was written up on the charges. The state of New Jersey does the same thing with disciplinary charges. So when you're retiring, you would never get your full pension because you would have these convictions. So you never make your full salary. And me realizing that and seeing that and started holding it accountable, I had a target on my back. So the obstacle that came is the fact that now I knew they were going to come after me, and I'm built for this. I'm built different. So I'm built and I'm ready. But the fact that they came after my mentally ill nephew and forced him, you know, the corruption of forcing him to sign an illegal plea. Now he's illegally incarcerated, and me having to face the challenge and the obstacle of trying to get attention to his case and to try to get him the help that he need, it's an obstacle. But because my mother raised me and me knowing who I was, see, when the discrimination started happening and the white people being, sometimes it's a culture shock for some people, but I knew who I was. I knew like I was a king and queen of Africa. Like I knew like Malcolm X speeches and who all the greats were because my mother instilled that in me. So growing up, yes, you had to get your schoolwork, but you also had to know your history. You also had to understand the systematic institutional racism of the system, how it's in the schools. And my mother had to go through it. She was in school, and I had to go through it as well. So I was ready for the fight because a lot of times when it happened, a lot of times people don't know that that's what it is. So the obstacle of me fighting for my nephew is just giving me my next acronym. I'm not going to get to it too, but the obstacle of just dealing with everything and really having it gets you depressed. I was having panic attacks. You literally came after my family member because I'm trying to hold you accountable. So it's the obstacle of me having to deal with the pressure of an entire branch of government. Let's be clear. I'm not filing my lawsuit against one person or a department like the Department of Transportation or the DMV. The judiciary is an entire branch of government. And as a Black girl from Newark, New Jersey, who was born a statistic, you know, my mother, single parent household. My mother had 5 kids by the time she was 25. I apologize for putting your business in the street. But I was number 4 out of 5. So those statistics that I grew up in and fighting through all of that, the first one out of 5 kids to get a degree, was married before I had children. I own my own home. I mean, I overcame. And to just deal with the obstacle of my nephew case, it threw me for a whoop, but I'm rolling with the punches.
Thank you for sharing. We're a little more than halfway going, so I'm going to pick it up just a little bit to make sure that we get everything in that we need to get in and we need to discuss today. I'm just going to kind of touch on a couple things that one of the things that was said, and I wrote a series on it. Somebody said, "Why me?" And I used to hear that all the time. So the third series of the process, I wrote, "Why not me? Why not me? Why shouldn't I be battle tested, ready to go, filled with armor, and ready to tackle whatever needs to come my way?" It's a must. It's a must because I know that I would not, or none of us are put in a position to experience things without the answer already being done. So I think it becomes a point that a lot of times that we don't wait on the result. You know, that old saying, I've said it before, that I was raised with same way, a praying grandmother. And my praying grandmother told me that if you put your hands in it, God's going to take his hand out of it. So once you give it to him, let it go. So I'm going to jump on that last one, and that's embraced. And the major and most important something of being embraced is the wherewithal of acceptance. So you can't embrace anything unless you accept it. And that's the key in placing whatever is going to be good in the pile of our growing. I read something by Bob Goff when I started college. From Yes Mom and my mother-in-law, Mama Sarah. I did do some reading in college, Asti as well. It said, Bob Goff said, embrace uncertainty. Some of the most beautiful chapters in life won't have a title until much later. So what did that look like? Now, you hear me over and over encourage change in our lives. And I say a lot of times that comfort is a casualty of growth. This is because it's just what Bob Goff talked about. The most beautiful chapters will not have a title until much later. And that's when we have embraced and accepted where we are, and more importantly, where we want to go. So, embraced. We have to get to a point to where we remove the old adage, the stinking thinking, the ability to blame somebody for excuses. And George Washington Carver said that 99% of all failures come from people who make excuses. That's a ton of bricks. That's a ton of bricks right there. The word but. I hate it. Because test this theory, if anybody listening. Anytime somebody says the word but, there's some BS coming right behind it. I was going to do that, but here it comes. Test that theory. So what about you, Lyreshia, before we get to Asti and close out the last acronym?
I'm going to have to go with opportunities, because if it wasn't for me being illegally fired and me being harassed and being in an abusive relationship with my employer, I call it that because that's what it is. I speak truth to power. If I wasn't abused and I wasn't illegally fired, I would have never followed my dream. I would have never had the opportunity to work on a documentary to tell my story. I would have never had the courage to get out of the shell to be on this podcast and opportunity to do different things. So many opportunities have opened up for me since I was illegally fired. Now I understand when people say with me being fired was the best thing. That I didn't think that would be one of my stories, but that is actually one of my stories. The opportunities, because it's opened up so many things for me to do. And because I have the opportunity now, I can fight for my nephew and I can start my own business and I can do the comedy. I have the opportunity to do everything that I wanted to do. And I just think that the acronym that I would use is opportunity. Asti, how about you?
I thought I was going to get away from touching on another one of these. I'm there with Mark on embraced. Once I accepted who I was and accepted what God had for me, I feel like that's when I could finally embrace and move forward. I've had a torn past with my father, and he is probably the biggest thing lately that I've had to embrace who he is and accept that and know that I'm not a prisoner in my own thoughts. And I don't have to be, I don't have to be the perfect daughter. I don't have to be mad at him anymore because he wasn't there or because he's living his best life and making me feel like I have to be responsible for him now. I don't have to do any of that. Once I embraced all of that, I felt like I was set free. And so many of us are bogged down by that, bogged down by the idea that you have to be everyone to everybody, and you don't. Now, trust. Sometimes some of the obstacles that you encounter aren't for you, it's for someone else. Sometimes you're going through those things so that you can have a testimony to catapult someone else. But at the same time, you don't have to be everything for everyone. And it was hard for me to realize that. And here in the past year, I have. So I have to say, embraced would be the next word that I would choose from the acronym.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. Great conversation on that acronym, because I think it speaks a lot of volume to everybody. I'm going to begin my, since you brought up something, Asti, about taking care of everybody. So as the pilot, I'm going to put the landing gear down and tell everybody that we're getting close to our final descent. So as we get closer to the final descent, I want to kind of touch on a couple things real quick. Is that a lot of people talk about the fact that there's obstacles or there's things inside their lives that they can't achieve. And I think my biggest point of contention is why not? Why can't you? Who is to say that you can't achieve it? What is the elements of things that you can't do? Because if you have the ability to, if you have a breath, it's possible. Anything and everything is possible. A lot of people give up on themselves so early and say, I can't do this, or this will never work, or I'll never achieve this, or this won't work. It's possible. If you truly believe it's possible, if you truly believe in yourself and believe in yourself that it's possible. And one of the reasons, or one of the things that people do not understand, or one of the things that pushes them away from believing is that it's possible, is procrastination. See, I recently just started the process part 5 with the topic procrastination, the thief of time. And I wrote several things, including this acronym, CHOOSE, falls inside this line and in this particular podcast or this particular series of messages. So as we start that final descent, before I get that landing gear down, I'm going to ask each one of you to take just a couple minutes. And what has been your experience with this element of procrastination? And how did you take the steps to no longer to avoid it? So I'm going to start with you first, Asti.
Okay, so I had to laugh about this one because I laugh about myself being an absent-minded multitasker. And it's the nature of my job. I've got a lot of things going on and I put my toe in a lot of stuff and then I come back to it, but then I can't remember what I was doing before. But I think you touched on a good thing when you said, why is it not possible for you to do some of the things that you say that you want to do? And honestly, I think it boils down to priorities. Life sends us curveballs and we decide our priorities. We decide what's more important at that moment in time. So, when someone says that they're not doing something because they can't, no, it's not that you can't do it. It's you're making a choice to not do it right now. You can put it on the back burner. That's fine. But don't forget what you got back there. You're going to eventually get to it and you have to prioritize and still have things in your mind. Yeah, you might put it off for right now, but at some point you should come back to it if it's a goal. If it's no longer a goal, be real with yourself that it's no longer a goal. That's not where you are anymore in your life. You've transitioned to something else. There are plenty of things that I said that I wanted to do, but other things popped up that became priorities in my life. Motherhood is one of those. That's a priority. That doesn't mean that some of the things of my childhood I don't want to do, like Miss Lyreshia was saying something about all the many hats that she wears with her comedy and everything. I want to be an author. I now work as a librarian. Those things are going to align at some point, but they haven't aligned yet. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to do it. It just means that right now I've got other things that are taking top priority. Now, can I multitask and do all of them? Yeah, but do I really want to do something that I want to be a part of my legacy? So, I think that when we talk about procrastination, I think that we should also talk about priorities, because yes, it might seem like to some that you're procrastinating, but really, if you let something else take top priority over it, it doesn't mean that you've gotten rid of it. It just means right now it might be on the back burner. What about you, Lyreshia?
My procrastination, I would have to say, following my dreams. I was a go-getter. I was outspoken. I made class comedian in high school. I was the life of the party. In 2003, I was on MTV with Nick Cannon. Everybody thought I was going to be this personality. But I was like, no, I'm going to help people because this is what I wanted to do. I'm going to help people. I'm going to be a regular person. I'm going to get a job, work a 9 to 5. And I procrastinated. And I honestly believe divine intervention pushed me and said, if you're not going to do it, me going through what I went through at my job, because I literally was fighting to do it. I know I got the personality to do it. I just know I have kids now. I'm a mother. I'm no longer for the clubs. I'm no longer for the streets. I'm a wife now. And it was just pushing me. No, then I had HE double hockey sticks at my job. And every time, and I was a good PO. The job was easy. But the push it, procrastinated. And because I was stubborn and I wanted to just cook dinner, have dinner at 6:00, like they did on the shows, the Cosby Show, I procrastinated the situation. I procrastinated what my future was, and fate have it, no, you're not going to do that. And it was made to the point where it was so uncomfortable, I had no choice but to follow my dreams. And now I'm literally doing everything I should have done before. I procrastinated and put it off. And I believe if I was living in my purpose, it wouldn't have been the HE double hockey sticks. But I had to be made uncomfortable. And it had to be made a situation where it was literally a forced. So you have to listen to what, the ancestors have for you and not fight that. And I always fought that because I thought that, again, I was supposed to be a wife, mother, dinners, bake cookies and cakes, and not be in the comedy clubs. And now I have a comedy show. I started my own business and just that realm of things. So with procrastination also comes stubbornness, because sometimes we know what we're supposed to be doing, and we know when we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. We always say, okay, we're going to get to it soon, and we're stubborn about it. So just understanding that you're going to be forced if you don't do what necessarily needs to happen. A force is going to come with that. But when you procrastinate and put things off, eventually I ended up where I'm supposed to be, which is where I am now. Mark, how about you?
Well, we only have an hour. So to talk about things that I've procrastinated on, my suggestion is to tell everybody to go to Anchor, go to Spotify, go to iHeartRadio, find Mark Smith, The Process, season 5, and look for Procrastination and Thief of Time. You will hear all of that with the acronyms and everything that's entailed inside that. I can't share my secret yet. So everybody, again, take a listen to that. You will truly be blessed and find some great information that kind of outlines that particular topic. Ladies, I'm going to ask you to help close out with one final thing. If you can give everyone listening one single word to hold on to as they go through their storm or multiple storms, what would that word be? One single word. Start with you, Lyreshia, and then Asti.
Peace. Peace through the storm. Peace. Stress is a killer. So peace, be still through the storm, because it's going to happen. You can't control. You got to roll with the punches. But understand, peace. Stress is the number one killer for a reason. Peace, be still. How about you, Asti?
Ooh, really, Lyreshia? Okay, so my word is inspire. There have been so many people that have inspired me in my lifetime that I can never say thank you enough. And they don't realize that their legacy lives in me, and now it will live in someone else. So I want people to realize that some of the things we do, we don't do for us. We do it for the who follows behind us. And so my word would be inspire. Always seek to find inspiration in the little things and inspire someone else, because you never know who's watching. And in the where we're living, everybody is watching. So try to be an inspiration to someone else. Mark?
I'm going to say pride. And some may say, well, what does that have to do with anything going through your storm? Is please remember, ignorance destroys everything. Pride. Please remember, ignorance destroys everything. Ask for help. Seek help when you're going through the storm. Talk to people through your storm. Listen to people inside just while you're in your storm. But more importantly, pray while you're in your storm. Pray while you're in your storm. Do not let pride become your victim. Miss Asti, Miss Lyreshia, ladies, thank you so much for your time tonight. I truly, truly appreciate you coming and sharing your words of wisdom, your passion, your knowledge with everybody. It's truly been an honor, and I'm sure everybody got a lot out of it. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. To Ms. Toya Glenn, Ms. Janet Jack, the Process Production team, thank you again for another spectacular episode. Thank you, Dibble and Dab, for the designs, the merchandise, and for adding the process items in your offerings. Before I get out of here, I want to close with a story about a good friend of mine. One day, a man saw an old lady stranded on the side of the road, but even in the dim light of day, he could see she needed help. So he pulled in front of her Mercedes and got out. His Pontiac was still sputtering when he approached her. Even with a smile on his face, she was worried. No one had stopped to help her for the last hour or so. Was he going to hurt her? He didn't look too safe. He could see that she was frightened, standing out there in the cold, and he knew how she felt. It was one of those chills that only fear can put in you. He stepped to her and said, "I'm here to help you, ma'am. Why don't you wait in the car while it's warm? By the way, my name is Brian Anderson." Well, as she had was just a flat tire, but for an old lady, that was bad enough. So Brian, my friend, crawled under the car, looking for a place to put the jack, skinning his knuckles a time or two. Soon he was able to change the tire, but he had gotten dirty and his hands were filthy. As he was tightening up the lug nuts, she rolled down the window and began to talk to him. She told him she was from St. Louis and was only just passing through. She couldn't thank him enough for coming to her aid. Brian just smiled as he closed her trunk. The lady asked how much she owed him. Any amount would have been all right with her. She already imagined all the awful things that could have happened had nobody stopped to help her. But Brian never thought twice about being paid. It was not a job for him. This was helping someone in need. And God knows there's plenty of who have given him a hand in the past. He had lived his whole life that way, and if it never occurred to him to act any other way. So he told her that if she wanted to pay him back, the next time she saw somebody who needed help, she could give that person the assistance they needed. And Brian added, "Just think of me when you do it." Then he waited until she started her car, drove off. It had been a cold and depressing day, but he felt good as he headed home, dispersing into the twilight. Well, a few miles down the road, the lady saw a small cafe. She went in to grab a bite to eat and took the chill off before she made the last leg of her trip home to St. Louis. It was a dingy-looking restaurant. Outside, there were 2 old gas pumps, and the whole scene was unfamiliar to her. The waitress came over and brought her a clean towel to wipe her wet hair, and she had a sweet smile, one of those of even though she had been on her feet the whole day, that anybody couldn't erase. The lady noticed that the waitress was nearly 8 months pregnant, but she had never let the strain and the aches change her attitude. The old lady wondered how someone had so little could be thus giving to a stranger, but then she remembered my friend Brian. After the lady finished her meal, she paid with a $100 bill, and the waitress quickly went to get the change for the $100 bill, but the old lady had slipped right out the door. She was gone, back by the time the waitress came back. The waitress wondered why the lady who she could be. Then she noticed something written on the napkin. There were tears in her eyes when she read what the lady had wrote. She said, "You don't owe me anything. I've been there too. Somebody once helped me out the way I'm helping you. If you want to pay me back, here's what you do. Do not let this chain of love end with just you." Under the napkin were 4 more $100 bills. Well, the tables were clear, sugar bowls were filled, and the people to serve, but the waitress made it through that tough day, 8 months pregnant. The night when she got home from work, she climbed into bed. She was thinking about the money and what the lady had written. How could the lady have known how much her and her husband needed? With the baby due next month, it was going to be hard. She knew how worried her husband was as he was laying asleep next to her, and she gave him a soft kiss and whispered so softly, "Everything's going to be all right. I love you, Brian Anderson." With everything this family had going on, this is a strong example of what my mission is, and what my mission is in procrastination, the thief of time. And that simple message is, yesterday I choose to believe, so tomorrow I will create my legacy. So each day, you and I and the Brian Andersons of the world all have the choice and choose what we're going to be remembered for. Every single interaction that we have leaves someone bitter or leaves someone better. Which will you choose? If you're watching this on YouTube, like and subscribe to Mark Smith, The Process. Also, tune in this Saturday at 10 a.m. on star107fm.com for The Process Marathon. They are going to be replaying season 2, The Perfect Storm. Every single acronym that was of this groundbreaking series. This series that started to take off and took what we're doing to another level. 2.5 hours of a show that's back to back. As I get out of here tonight, let me remind you of 2 things that has been my mantra. Before you can help someone else, we must help ourselves. I've always said, and you'll see anything that I sign, I say change begins and ends within. Let's continue to change the legacy in 2021 and beyond. God bless everyone. Have a great night. Stay safe.